Good morning, Carolina. He's Will Kronsberg.
And she's Calista Pushman. Welcome back to Carolina Calendar. After another planned break this time, though things aren't exactly getting smoother over here.
Will and I are here most weeks, keeping you up to date on what's happening on the USC campus and around Columbia.
This week on the show, fair or not, the South Carolina State Fair is wrapping up this weekend. Find out how to get in before it gets out.
And homecoming meets spooky season. We'll tell you all the events to keep your eyes on in the coming days.
Finally, I wore a sweater this week, which means something's either gone really wrong or really right with this Midlands weather. We'll take a guess today on Carolina Calendar. Good morning, Calista.
Good morning, Will.
We were off again, a little break last week, so how are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I got to go back up to my home in fake Philly, i.e. like 30 minutes outside the city. I discovered a new way to travel with my cat because, you know, as we know, Calista has a cat. That's my cat. It's my child. And like he hates his carrier, and so I decided to just let him loose in my car. And he just like snuggled up in my lap for the whole 11 hours. It was the cutest thing in the world. So very relaxing.
I was home in Charleston, real Charleston.
Real Charleston.
And my family has a dog and a cat. And so my mother and I were picking up dog from my father's office. And Lucy was just kind of roaming loosely around in the car. So similar vibe, but she was mad because I took her seat.
Oh, how could you?
Normally it's just Mom and Lucy in the car, but I was sitting in the passenger seat and she did not like it.
Oh, I bet. But, you know, it's fine. Got to see our furry friends. That's always the highlight of break for me.
Well, moving on to this week, it's been a festive one in Columbia.
It has.
Which really just means more traffic for my commute, but I know you've been able to enjoy it a little bit more.
Yes, I sure have. As many of us know, the South Carolina State Fair has been in town, and it's going to go through this Sunday, the 23rd. Now, general admission when you get there is $20. Granted, if you get it online, it's $15, but it is free for kids 5 and under and $15 for seniors. Now, over 90 food booths, rides, entertainment opportunities are there. Personally, it was my first time going to the State Fair this year because I was going for my photography class, actually. And yeah, it is overwhelming the amount of things there are to do. Like, it is wild. Like, I don't know, have you been to the State Fair?
I haven't been. Now that I've been in Columbia for 3 years, I guess that kind of makes me a little bit of a fake fan.
Just
because I haven't been. As I alluded to, I live about 2 blocks from the fairgrounds, so for me it's mostly just been traffic, but it's been nice to see the Ferris wheel both from campus and from my apartment, and then just drive by it. It's everywhere. It's very visible.
It's very visible, and you know, it's very pretty. I got to take some really great pictures, but another part of it, I promised I would tell you about this on the show today while we were getting our script together and all that. So last night I went to the fair. I took my boyfriend with me. He was like my photo assistant for the night, but I also decided, you know, if I'm paying to get into the fair, I might as well try to enjoy the fair. So we decided to do like, you know, you gotta do like the couples thing. You gotta like go and try to win a prize. Okay. But then like we forget, I am one of the most competitive people on the planet. I'm a very competitive human. And also, I always would be against Squishmallows. Like, I'm not a Squishmallow biddy, but they had a lot of Squishmallows there. And suddenly I drank a lemonade that was basically just sugar water, and something came into my like sugar in my bloodstream. I was buzzing, and I was like, I am going to stop at nothing to win this Squishmallow. So Nick had to witness me like feverishly playing a water gun game for like 20 minutes. I spent all of too much money, but I got a Squishmallow, and it was like, I paced the entire fairgrounds to find an ATM. I was like, the whole time.
Wow. And
like Nick, if you know, we haven't had Nick on the show yet, but Nick is a very tall human, and he usually takes really long strides, but like I was outpacing him. So that's just goes to show how important this was to me.
I feel like this is a very fitting follow-up to our discussion last episode about Monster Energy.
Yes, it is. So it's not just Monster. I have to have like the 0 sugar Monsters, because otherwise I'll be like extra buzzing. Like I'm very buzzing beyond. Yeah. But no, I'm a very naturally energetic person. And so you add caffeine to it, and I'm like, okay, a little more. But then you add sugar to it, and it's like, whoa. And then you add sugar and caffeine, and I'm like a whole other level. So, I mean, thank you to that sugar lemonade.
Have you had sugar and or caffeine this morning? Because you're very feverishly telling the story.
I am. I'm talking a mile a minute right now. We're not going to get to our next event. We're going.
We are. We are.
You're just, okay,
because our next event is coming up very soon. It's Cockstock. It's tonight. It's the kickoff for USC Homecoming Week. Featured artist is T-Pain tonight, 8 p.m., Colonial Life Arena. The concert is or was free for students. All the tickets were claimed. And then there's also a general admission fee for those outside the university. This one follows up last year's concert on the Strom Fields that featured Young Nudie. So a little bit of a different vibe, a little bit of the same vibe. Are you going to be there?
I am going to be there, but not as an attendee. I'm actually going to be a photographer there because I'm in the photo class, but I also, of course, am a senior photographer at DG. So I'm going to be covering it for our lovely paper. I'm really excited. I mean, I've shot DJs before. Like I shot like a mini pre-festival set. Shooting pictures. And so I've taken pictures of all the crazy lights, the smoke, and all that. But I'm excited to have an actual concert venue opportunity. So I'm either gonna have really, really great pictures, or which would mean I'd publish them, or if you don't see anything online, just assume it didn't go very well.
My only exposure to T-Pain is years and years ago, I want to say 2011, 2012, I was watching America's Got Talent with my family. And one of the finalists, one of the final 10 or something contestants, had T-Pain on for the finale as their celebrity advisor or whatever. It was very interesting. So that's really my only exposure. We'll see how things go for everyone over at Colonial Life Arena tonight.
I'm sure it'll be fun. I mean, if it's anything like the Darius record, which of course very different genres, but it's a fun time.
Post Malone was at CLA last
especially
week.
A whole college crowd. It's so fun. The vibes will be good. But as we talk about this ushering homecoming in, we're going to talk a little bit more about homecoming. So events will include a kickoff carnival on Monday. So if you missed the state fair, there's another carnival moment. We have Powder Puff Tuesday, Hip Hop Wednesday, and Spurs and Struts on Wednesday, and the Stroll Off on Thursday. And all of this will lead up to next weekend's 4 p.m. football game versus Missouri. And I'm going to hone in on this 4 p.m. football game. What a great time.
4 p.m. is a great time for a football game for student media, or for media in general. I know people like a night kickoff, like a 7 or a 7:30, and we've had a lot of those in Willie B this year. But 4 p.m. is perfect if you're covering it because you have to get to the game hours early. For a 12 p.m. kick, you're talking about being up at 7, if not earlier, so you can be there around 9,
You got to park, you got to get your equipment together. As someone who's done it, it is a lot.
You also have a lot of take down. You have to make sure if you had video or photos or writing, it takes a while to get all of that put together and published by the end of the night, but you have to get it put together and published so that it's timely coverage. So a 7 or a 7:30 kick, you're not finished until 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, I love waking up to our work messages of 2:30. Guys, we did it. I'm
4 p.m.
Wow.
Perfect, happy medium.
Yeah, you go to bed at a decent time.
Get to the stadium around 1:30.
Yeah, you could sleep in a little bit.
You're finished by 9 or 10.
Chug only one monster instead of 2. It's good stuff.
It's perfect for me, and also it's just a great built up for homecoming. It's really exciting. I was here over the summer working with Student Life, so I was hyping up a lot of the activities the freshmen could look forward to, and homecoming was a big part of it. I have this, Missouri game, end of homecoming week. It's burned into my brain. Working closely with the vice president of homecoming over the summer, talking to him a lot. And I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm glad that it's finally come to fruition, that we're going to see it all unfold over the next week, except for the part of the week where we're not here.
Oh yeah, y'all are going to hear a lot more about that. A little spoiler alert for the next segment. But before then, we have another event.
As for our 4th event, it wouldn't be Carolina Calendar without our TAD Talk, Thursday after dark. And next week, it's U of Scream. So that's U of SCREAM. Yeah. So U of Scream, it's an irresistible night of spooks and scares. It's over at the Blatt PE Center. Now, groups must register on IM leagues and arrive on time with their Carolina card. And of course, you can't bring any weapons, even if they're fake costume weapons. or any masks. You have to have your face exposed so they can see who you are. But it should be a really interesting, spooktacular kind of thing.
I just had like in the office when they look at the camera moment during your little spiel there. Very punny stuff. I'm speechless. That was really funny.
I can't take credit for the irresistible night of spooks and scares that came directly from Gamecock Entertainment.
All right, well, shout out to GE for a very, very punny accompaniment to a very cool event. I mean, granted, Are you a haunted house person? I'm not. Ever since, I tried it. Back in high school, we did like a haunted hayride type thing. So it was like haunted houses, but you also kind of like walk through like trails and whatnot. And I was kind of scarred when this guy with a chainsaw without the chain, like he didn't have the blades, was like putting it against my ankles. Like, I don't care if it doesn't have blades on it. Do not put a chainsaw against my ankles.
Fair enough.
Like that was I didn't think they were allowed to touch you. Like that, I mean, technically I guess he wasn't because like it was a piece of hunk of metal, but like, I don't know. It's not my thing. I like my bubble.
When I was a sophomore in high school, my brother and I and some of his group of friends, he was a senior at that point, we went to, there's like a big farm area outside of Charleston, and they have Fright Nights throughout the month of October. So we went to Fright Night, and it was a little scary for me, not because I was 15, 16, just because it was just a little scary. But two of his friends had a lot of fun that day. They had been, partying, and every little thing just like tipped them off, and they ran out of like so many different parts of the. It was really funny. The enjoyable part of the night was being with them.
That's funny. When you go with a group, it's fun seeing them react to things.
Yeah, that was really the fun. I didn't care as much about the rest of it.
Well, I'm with you there. Well, coming up, Will and I once again will be out of the studio next week, but we have a pretty flashy reason this time. So stay tuned to find out what we'll be up to.
Welcome back. Calista and I are pleased to say that SGTV has been nominated for a handful of Student Media Awards, including Best Short Film, Video Special Event Coverage, Sportscast, Story of the Year, and Best 4-Year TV Station. Not to mention that this very show nominated for Best Broadcast Commentary for, interestingly, some of the rants that we did back in the spring.
Yeah, very interesting that, the rants that we joke about are the ones that ended up getting nominated. It's kind of a flex.
It's the commentary part. We talked about the importance of student media, of the press freedom in student media. We talked about self-expression. So we did a lot of cool things back this spring.
We did. So next week, the two of us, plus our news director, Zane Heinlein, and other colleagues from across Garnet Media Group are headed to Washington, D.C. for Media Fest 22, a chance to learn about student media and journalism strategies across the country, and plus, hopefully taking home some hardware.
We'll try to keep you updated on our journey as we traverse DC and learn from some of the best in the industry. Hopefully we'll be right back here in front of you guys in 2 weeks after spooky season comes to an end. But I'm really excited, Calista. I think it's going to be fun.
It's going to be
We
so
have a good
cool.
group from SGTV, from the Daily Gamecock, from Garnet and Black Magazine, Garnet Media Group's marketing director, and of course our assistant director of student media, chaperoning us.
And of course, we don't mean to leave WOC in the dust. They're going to be at a different event. They're going to be at CBI, which is incredible. So yeah, GMG kind of popping off, as per always.
We're going to have a busy end of October, hopefully a much lauded one. So.
Yeah, so definitely keep an eye out on social media. I'm sure we're going to do some sort of fun vlog or takeover if you're curious to see what ends up going on, because it's been a long time since they've hosted a full in-person convention. So
absolutely,
very
the past few years we've brought home a couple of these awards that were sent to us in the mail. We were notified about via email or virtually, but it's going to be really cool to be there in person, to be talking with people from other student media organizations, people who have been through this and know more about the general media landscape. We have a lot to learn. It's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, 2 years ago was the inaugural year that they awarded a pacemaker in broadcast for student media. And SGTV won that pacemaker. Our freshman year, about 2 months into being part of SGTV, we were named the best 4-year TV station in the United States.
Yeah.
And we're nominated again this year.
So
it's
a very full circle moment to go from freshman in the org, brand new, bright, bushy-tailed, whatever, and now we are the leaders of the org and have the opportunity to do it again, but under, I guess, our oversight. So it's really, really special.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, after the break, a look at your weekend weather and a peek into what we're feeling fiery about this week.
Welcome back here with some of your weekend weather, things to look forward to throughout the day. We started off this morning at about 44 degrees. It was a cool start to the day, though sunny and clear. Then we warmed up to about 68, and you'll see that as we get into the afternoon. And then we'll finish off tonight around 57 degrees. Sunset will be at 6:42 p.m. So you can see that we are peaking at 68 in the middle of the afternoon after sort of a cooler middle of the week. Moving into next week, you'll see that we're starting at 74 for tomorrow. It'll be a nice and sunny game day. That is a 7:30 kick, so it will cool down a little bit by the time we get to that. And then we have Sunday, of course, 77 on Sunday, a low of 49. And then we'll switch over to Monday, where it'll stay in those high 70s, though clouds do begin to roll in as we get to Tuesday, up a little bit to 78. And then we hit the 80s. Yes, the 80s here at the end of October on Wednesday, rolling into Thursday. It'll be warmer as we get to your Halloween. That's it for your weekend and week weather, but we'll head back to Calista at the desk with some rants.
Yeah, so while Will makes his way back from the weather wall, let's switch on over to Will and Calista ranting about random things, but I promise it will be more put together than last time.
Yeah, so today my rant is about Halloween costumes, and I'm kind of 50-50 on them. I don't have any sort of set opinion. I dressed up a lot as a kid. We had a pretty cool Halloween costume contest at my elementary school. One year, 2008 actually, my brother dressed up as a voting booth heading into, because it was October 31st, and then you had the 2008 presidential election the very next week.
That is
between
so fitting.
Obama and McCain. And he went so far as to have people cast ballots. And I can't remember who won, but I do think who won his little ballot thing.
That's so
but
funny.
he did win one of the costume contests. I don't think I ever won anything. I dressed up as in 2011, I dressed up as one of the NFL replacement referees because they were really struggling with their referee game back in 2011. Maybe it was 2012. I dressed up as a 70s basketball player once. I was Kevin Jonas once. You can laugh at that.
You were Kevin?
I was Kevin.
You picked, did you have a Nick and a Joe, or was it just Kevin?
No, I was just Kevin. My brother was Theodore. Zachary was Theodore Roosevelt, and I can't even remember what Elliot was. We have a picture of it.
I would love to see this picture of the range.
But my bigger rant is that I've kind of aged out of that as I've gotten older. So after that, there were a couple years where I dressed up as my brother for Halloween. My sophomore year of high school, he was the student body president. I dressed up as him. I did part of the announcements for the school that day. It was kind of funny.
Oh, it's kind of cute.
But really, I haven't been in that full costume mode ever since then. One year I was Jim Halpert, but it was a pretty easy costume.
Yeah. Was it 3-punch Jim, or was it just put on a suit? And...
I had a 3-hole punch piece of paper that I just walked around with all day. But I mean, it was fun, but I just don't feel like that's something you do as much when you get older. Maybe when you have kids. I don't know.
Yeah. See, my thing with it is that it's just it's a money thing. It's a time thing, especially because I would go all out for Halloween. I'm a very go all out person, but we're gonna be in DC over Halloween weekend, so I was I didn't do much this year in thinking about a costume.
We'll dress up as very professional student journalists.
Yes, and hopefully award-winning student journalists.
Hopefully.
But no, I'm notorious for dressing as things that people either don't get or just kind of go, huh? About. It's all the kids I want to be a fairy. I want to be. I was the Monopoly man, and I made it myself. I pinned Monopoly money on my. I will find a picture of this, but it was the Monopoly man. That was my costume in 7th grade. I want to say, yeah. So it's very fitting for my character. I'll have to think of some other ones, but that's the one that just.
Why
stood
weren't
out
you
to
the
me.
thimble? You could just wear a giant thimble costume, or the shoe.
I was more of a fan of the little puppy, the little Yorkie, or
I
whatever.
like the French fries.
From a Monopoly conversation.
We're just talking about Monopoly pieces.
Wait, watch this segue. Speaking of things that start with the letter M, Taylor Swift just dropped her album, Midnights.
Midnights. It dropped at midnight.
Now, another thing that starts with the letter M, mid. I think it was mid. I am a big Swiftie. I am a huge Swiftie. Granted, I've only listened to the album once, and I haven't listened to the 3. She dropped another bonus 3 a.m. tracks, But here's my deal. I'm a folklore evermore biddy. Like, I liked her folksy stuff. And this album is her pop stuff, which I love pop Taylor. However, it didn't hit for me on the first listen. I'm gonna hope that it does. Sorry, there's someone trying to get into the studio. We're like, I'm very distractible. But here's,
yeah. So
I don't know.
It just didn't hit. I was watching a football game last night. The Saints versus the Cardinals. The Saints lost. We'll cry about that later.
Bummer.
But during the third quarter of the game, Al Michaels, renowned play-by-play guy, now working for Amazon, was like, as we get closer to midnight, here's a preview of Taylor Swift's Midnight's album, just in the middle of this Amazon football game. And I watched it, and I even took like a screenshot of the people, the different actors that they said were going to be in the Midnight's like music videos that Taylor said she was very proud of. And there were some cool people on there. I took note of Mike Birbiglia because he's one of my favorite comedians. I thought that was super interesting, but there were a list. I mean, Laura Dern was on there. So
you know, like it is like a star-studded album, star-studded music videos, and just, I don't know. I think that my expectations were just like all the way up here. And it took me a while to like her other like more like pop records. So I'm sure I'm gonna listen to it 3 more times and be eating the words that I'm saying here.
Just go back to her like mid-2000s country stuff and then come back to this. Maybe that'll help.
Maybe that'll help. I mean, those are carried by nostalgia though, because Taylor Swift like practically raised me. But anyways, TBD on if I decide to actually like Midnight's.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Check us out in 2 weeks. We'll see if we like Midnight's now. But with that, we wrap up Carolina Calendar for today, October 21st, 2022.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SGTV at USC.
To keep up with all of our content, be sure to also follow us online at SGTV Online. For SGTV News 4, I'm Will Kronsberg.
And I'm Calista Pushman. From all of us here at SGTV, have a great weekend, Carolina, forever to be.